Wow! Hello, you taco-eating, huggable little balls of pink fluff. I'm here with an Reviewmpressions of Dark Souls, and originally I kind of wanted to review it, and then I thought about it and like looked into the game and like what it would require of me, and I'm like, oh no. No, not gonna do that. No, I cannot possibly put enough time into this game to do a review, especially because I didn't know if I would want to do that. So then I'm like, okay, I'll do an impressions video. What do you do with an impressions video? You sit down, you play it for a couple hours, and then you come up with your impressions. I'm like, oh, no, not doing that either. You cannot just sit down with this game for a couple hours, especially if you've never played it before, and come up with a good impression of it. So I kind of had to dig a little deeper. So this is kind of in between a review and an impressions video. I've not even almost seen everything this game has to offer, and I'm still trying to get the hang of it. In the first place, I've seen a fraction of the world, but I have put in significantly more time than I would have with an impressions video. I don't know, I gotta be going on 20 hours by now. It's been quite a lot. I feel like I've been really trying to figure out what kind of game it is, and here I am. I feel like I've finally reached that point. I felt like I had reached that point a couple times, and then I would go a little further. I'm like, no, now I'm at that point. And then I go a little further. No, I'm really ready to talk about it, but I guess I finally actually reached the actual ultimate point. So here I am. The basic concept, if you have not played it, is you've got this large interconnected world, like this really open kind of world. You can run around wherever you want. A lot of your progress is stopped simply by areas that are too hard. You know what I mean? Like difficulty blocks your progress. You have access to areas that are pretty difficult to do right off the bat. And then of course there are like doors where you need keys and stuff like that. Within the world you find bonfires, and whenever you stop at a bonfire, that kind of becomes your new spawn point. So every time you die, you go back to the bonfire. You can do a bunch of different stuff at a bonfire. You can level up at a bonfire, and then of course as you go through the world, you will unlock shortcuts. Like, you know, you'll push through a new area you've never been before, round a bend, and then like, oh look, there's that door that I couldn't open before. Now I opened it from the other side. So now you know, it's a very big world, but you kind of slowly go through and unlock it as you go. And there are bad guys everywhere, just all over the place. There are monstery bad guys to fight. Everything you kill gives you souls, and souls are they're the currency of the game. You use them to level up, you use them to buy stuff. Everything is souls and items. And I will tell you, this format is excellent. It's a really odd, like, I am often saying how there are not enough adventure games these days. Games where it feels like a world that when you go through it, it's not because the game told you to or allowed you to. It's like, no, I went through that door because I found a key to that door. I went through this area because I got strong enough to beat the guys through that area. You know what I mean? It's this thing of like always pushing into new territory. You often are somewhere, you're scared, you haven't found a bonfire in a really long time. You think you're gonna die at any moment, and then you're just like, oh my gosh, a lever. Oh my gosh, it's that portcullis, and you can open the portcullis, and now you can go through, you can comfortably go back to your bonfire, or you find a new bonfire. So like whenever you do, you know, unlock a way or find something like that, it's immensely satisfying because of just how scary this game is. I just love that it feels like you're carving out your own path, you know what I mean? You are earning every bit of progress that you get in the game, and you're slowly making it all easier to traverse as you go. And yeah, it's really rewarding. And I'm sure that for better players than me, it's also very rewarding to hit areas that you're probably not supposed to hit early on by either just cheesing the game or just being really skilled and you know, unlocking areas you shouldn't be able to unlock. And this game is built for that kind of person. It's kind of built to be not broken, but, you know, kind of exploited in that way. It's a little bit like a Metroidvania in that way. That's like, if you can go off the beaten path and kind of find a way to make things easier for yourself, that's a feature. That's you conquering the game. And I'm sure that's very nice for people who know how to do that. Combat is easily the most interesting part about this game, because like I've never played a game like this before, and that's why it was really hard to get into. Everything you do has to have a purpose. When you are fighting even the lowest level guys at the beginning of the game, they will kill you. When you are fighting, you cannot take risks. Your moves are very slow and sluggish, especially at first. Their attacks are very strong. You have to do everything with a purpose. You have to learn every enemy's attack pattern. You have to watch them really carefully for their tells to know what they're gonna do, wait for your opportunity to make your strike. There's a really big focus on blocking and dodging, and you gotta pay really close attention to your stamina, because everything takes stamina. Your different, your weak attack and your strong attack, rolling and dodging and blocking, and when you block a guy, it brings down your stamina, and if they hit you when your shield is up and they knock your stamina to 0, they're gonna break through your block, and that's going to deal a bunch of damage that can completely kill you. And I would say that one of the things that makes this combat, one of the things that makes it the most interesting, is how you don't regenerate stamina as fast when your shield is up. So it's like you're always wanting to block guys' attacks, but at the same time, you kind of have to let your shield down whenever you can to regen it faster and then bring it back up again at the right moment. So there's a really heavy element of strategy there. The entire thing is just, it's almost turn-based. It's so slow and methodical, and especially early on, like I said, you can't take risks. Every time I'm fighting a guy and I do an attack and I'm like, you know what? I think I can get in an extra attack. I can't. I try and they find a way to hit me. You can't think anything. You have to be like, I'm sure he's finished with that animation, or I blocked his attack the right way. Only then can you strike. This is a very different combat style for me, and naturally, it makes it very hard. It makes the game extremely hard in ways. The hardest part is just breaking out of my old mindset of being taking risks and trying to assume that something is going to work out. That's not the way it works, and because of this, naturally, you die a lot. Dying is a really big part of this game, and you're supposed to not care as much. That's what everyone says. Don't worry about dying. It's just a part of the experience. And this extreme kind of combat, it's good and bad. It's good, obviously, because it's really refreshing. I've not played something so strategic where it's everything you do, you did. You did it on purpose, and you did it the right way. Obviously, it's very rewarding. Comes with a very strong sense of accomplishment. Every guy you kill, it's because you killed him. You learned his weaknesses, and you exploited his weaknesses. And if there's a bad side to this, I would just say that sometimes it's too time-consuming. I can be pretty darn patient when I want to be, and I can appreciate how much this game requires patience often, but the thing is, every time you rest at a bonfire, all the small enemies respawn. Fortunately, most of the bigger ones don't, so that's great. It would be ridiculous if they didn't, but most of the little ones, all the little guys you fight just from here to there, they always respawn whenever you rest at a bonfire, which means you're constantly fighting through these little tiny guys. And like I said, usually even the smallest guys can kill you, especially if they gang up on you, especially if you're talking about more than one guy at a time. So you gotta just you can run through them. Sometimes it depends on the area or how fast you are. Sometimes you can kind of, and there are shortcuts. You can find ways around, but no matter what I do, I am still always way more than I want to, just being okay, rest at the bonfire, okay, kill this guy, wait for his attack, do that. I got 12 more guys to do this to before I get where I'm going. And then it's one thing that they respawn when you're at a campfire, because you can kind of control that. Be oh, maybe I don't need to rest at a campfire. I don't have too many souls right now that I need to level up with. No, they even respawn if you just get far enough away. If you pass into another area of the game and then come back, they respawn even then, and that is baloney. That right there, I am not okay with. It's just too much sometimes. Sometimes it's too grindy. Those guys are just too much in your way. It makes it oppressive. It makes me not want to pick up the game sometimes, because I'm just oh, when I get where I'm going, I'm just going to have to fight so many little guys. And then you're in a situation where you find a hard boss. You're going to find hard bosses that kill you a bunch because you're trying to figure out how to beat them. So I fought this guy called the Bell Gargoyle, who's a total jerk, by the way. Just a total jerk. I don't have footage of him here. I'm mostly just showing footage from, I don't know, my earlier part of the game. I've gotten a lot farther than what you see here. I just didn't want to spoil everything and record a million hours of footage. Point is, though, this guy was really hard, and he's a jerk, and I learned his attack, but then when you get him down to half HP, he brings in his little brother, and they start breathing fire, and you can't block the fire. And whenever there is more than one guy in this game, and you can't just engage and learn their attacks and dodge their attacks and move in, when there are two, especially if they have a fire attack you can't block, it's just messed up. It's really messed up, and I don't feel like it was super fair, but the point is, I died on him a lot. It took me a long time to get him. And every time I died, I would go back to my campfire, I'd have to wait for it to load, and then it would take me about 3 minutes to get back to him. That does not sound like a lot until you realized I fought this guy, probably 40, 50 times before I was able to beat it. I know the guys are just cringing, people who actually play Dark Souls. They're like, really? It took you that long to beat that stupid guy? It did. I'm sorry. But if it takes you 3 minutes to get back each time, and you multiply that by 30, 40, 50, you're talking literally just hours of just getting back to the boss and just pushing through little tiny guys every single time. It stinks. It really stinks. And also, on the subject of fairness, it's okay for a game to be challenging, but it does sometimes feel unfair. And like, I'll not know how to do a boss, and I'll look it up online, and like, the way people do it is by exploiting the game. They don't do it by just, oh, you just dodge this attack like this and then you attack him. They're like, no, you gotta like find a way to get him stuck and then plunge attack him, and it's just like, that's pretty lame to me. There's apparently an infamous guy called the Capra Demon, who's a big huge guy with two big huge things. Again, I'm sorry I'm not showing it here. I don't want to spoil everything though. He's in a little room, a tiny little room, and there are two dogs that just run at you. You can't, unless you're like some crazy beast, you cannot fight all these three guys at once. You can only engage with one guy at a time, unless you're crazy overpowered, but I didn't have the benefit of being crazy overpowered because I went in, died, dropped all my souls in humanity, and I wanted to go back in there and beat him so that I could get it back. Point is, the only way I could beat him was I looked up an exploit where you just throw fire bombs over the door and just kill him by throwing fire bombs and not even going through the door. But it's like, I don't like how that kind of thing is expected. You know what I mean? I don't like how there are some elements of this game that are basic, like, people agree they're unfair, and you have to just find a way to cheese them. And I don't like that at all, and it makes me worried about what I'm gonna find later. I'm gonna find another thing that's just stupid and unfair. The AI is a little bit janky, and I guess that's a good thing, so that you can exploit it, but I don't know. Like, you'll often just find guys, and they get caught behind walls and doors, and it's hard to get them where they're going, and I don't know. I don't like that element. I want to just be like me, fighting guys, not exploiting them, not cheesing them, not just hitting them because they're stuck behind a door, sometimes on purpose, and sometimes just because they like to. Back to the subject of time, though, a problem that it felt worse early on, it's getting better and better, but it often feels like this game doesn't respect your time. Like I said, all the, killing little guys, going back and forth is one thing. It just, sometimes the game acts like it's the only game you'll ever play. You know what I mean? It's just like, you have all the time in the world for this game. You're not gonna enjoy. I know I'm just a total entitled, impatient gamer, saying this, but just, it sometimes feels like that way. It's like, no, there are no other games. This is the only game you're playing, and you're going to put hundreds of hours into it. And mostly, that's not just because of all the respawning. It's also a great lack of information. This game does not tell you enough early on. This has a really, really oppressive and kind of just bad early game for new players. I can understand a trial by fire kind of thing where it's like, hey, this is the kind of game that this is. We're not going to start easy. I do not want them to make this game easy at the beginning. You know what I mean? The problem is that they just don't tell you how to use a lot of the game's basic features. The biggest one was humanity. It gives you a really vague idea of what humanity is, but it's kind of this convoluted thing where there's hard humanity and soft humanity, and you use humanity to go from hollow to human, and then you can kindle, and and then the more humanity you have, it does bonuses. It's just like, it does not do a good job of telling you that. There's a lot of elements. You're just going through all the menus and all the things that you could be doing, and you're like, I don't know what these are. I don't know how to do them. And at the beginning, it's like, I don't really know how to get stronger. I can level up a little bit, but that's so incremental. It's just a really bad opener for new players. I don't know if maybe the future games, Dark Souls 2 and 3, Bloodborne and all that, maybe they did a better job. I'm not really sure, but I'm looking at this game and I'm just like, they could have done more to encourage people to keep playing. Because it's like, difficult is fine. I'm fine with difficult, but it has to be like, wow, I'm dying a lot and this is hard, but I feel compelled to carry on. That's not what this game is. At the beginning, it just stinks because they don't tell you what you're doing, and they don't really give you a lot of resources at the beginning to get more powerful and feel like you're progressing. I played the demo, And I did not enjoy it. That network test, like, I was intrigued by the idea. I did not enjoy it. The only reason I got the game and continued to play it from the beginning is because I want to do this impressions video. And I'm glad I did, because eventually you do start to get it. But like, if I was just a regular person just not reviewing the game at all, I would have played that demo and been like, no, this game is terrible. And I'm sure there are lots and lots and lots of people who did that, who played that network test and were just like, nope, this is not a game for me. So I feel like it needs a little tweaking. The beginning of the game can still be really difficult. It can still be a total trial by fire. It can make you learn a lot of things by doing, but it doesn't necessarily have to be oppressively confusing. I should not have to look up guides. I will say that now. I should never ever have to look up guides, but I did. I would play the game for a little bit, be like, I don't know what any of this is. Open up a guide, spend a half hour just reading through beginner's guides, keep playing. Like, that's silly to me. The game should at least be a little bit better, showing you, if not telling you, what you should be doing, just the basic concepts. Fortunately, I did eventually start to get it, and part of that is because of me, you know, figuring it out and being like, yeah, like, okay, I'm starting to kind of get this. I wish that was the only thing, because then I would just be like, I accomplished it. But no, it's also because the game finally threw me a bone. The game stopped being such a jerk. I reached a good area. I think you are seeing it here in the footage. Nice little hub area where I had a campfire that I hadn't had one in a long time, so there was a new one. Oh, what's this? A blacksmith that just sells me items and lets me upgrade them and gives me the item I need to upgrade them? I get this. I understand this. Oh, I'm making myself stronger by upgrading. Yeah, this is not something that was really easy early on. This was not something I had access to very much or knew how to do very well. There was this one guy who could upgrade a little, but I needed Titanite shards and I just didn't have any, and it was a whole thing. This was good. Nice little hub, lots of different places to go from here, so I felt like, cool, I got a lot of different places to explore. Oh, whoa, not that way. No, not that way. And now the further I go, the more I get into it, the more I understand it, the less helpless I feel. I am still not enjoying trekking back to boss areas or between regular areas. I don't think I will ever enjoy quite how much time this game wastes, and it's one of those things where like people are like, oh, eventually you'll reach a point where you want to start a new character. I'm like, whoa, I don't want to start a new character. I want to just play the game the way I want to play it now, build my character into something. I don't want to feel like, oh, no, you got to do it the right way. And eventually you'll figure out how you're doing it wrong, and then you'll restart. Like, I don't want to put another 20, 30 hours into a new character once I figure out the right way to do it. I want to just play the game. And all of the wasted time in this game, it's not so bad in this one file, but I definitely don't know if I'm going to want to start another file and do all of that tedium again and again and again, you know what I mean? But I am feeling more powerful. I'll go into an area and be like, oh, new guys, are they gonna kill me? No, I killed them. Whoa, boss, is it gonna just totally destroy me? Oh no, I killed him in a couple tries. Pretty good. I'm feeling good, and it's really getting fun. I'm getting that feedback loop. It's you know, it's finally starting to click. I mean, I'm obviously having a good time with it. I stayed up till 2 last night playing it. I played for like 6 hours. It felt like 2 hours. So it's definitely getting its hooks in me. I'm just worried that I will come across another situation like the Bell Gargoyle or the Capra Demon and not have an easy way to just cheese it to death. I don't know. I'm basically sure that I will. And I don't know if like, if something comes along that's just a little too hard, I might just be like, all right, I think I might be done, because I'm really not that good of a player. So it is very possible they will reach a point where it's just like, this is getting too hard, and I don't know, if I leveled my character wrong and I didn't know how to make him strong properly, and I'm not gonna want to reset. But I hope that doesn't happen, because I'm having fun, I'm moving, I'm unlocking new areas, and I'm fighting guys, and I'm getting it. I'm getting it pretty good. Before I wrap up, small stuff. You've probably heard this in other videos a lot, but you can't, A and B are switched. B is the confirm button and A is the cancel button in all the menus, and it's extremely, extremely annoying. When I sit down with an Xbox or a PlayStation, the confirm button is the bottom one all the time, and that's fine because it's across the whole system in every game, and I get that. On my Switch, I can't. I'm switching back and forth between this and other games in the Switch menu, and every time A and B switch, and it's really, really aggravating, and there's no way to change it, and that is so stupid. Another thing I'm not okay with, and I'm sure everyone will just call me a noob or whatever, but you can't pause this game, and that's inexcusable. You can't pause. I can't always just keep playing and playing and playing. Sometimes I need to pause the game, even when I'm fighting a guy, because there's a badger attacking my foot or something. Just an example, but you can't. Even if you go to the menu, like the Switch menu, the game will keep playing behind you. I guess you could put it to sleep, but that takes a little longer. Sometimes I just need to pause, and I can't. I kind of understand this because there's the online component, and you need it to be kind of like in real time, so that if someone invades your world, then, you know, pausing would kind of mess that up. I don't do that though. I play offline. I don't want people invading my world. I don't want to invade other people's world. I don't want annoying messages all over the place. Maybe that's hurting me in the long run. I don't really care. I don't want that, especially because the first time I ever booted up the game, it was just like connecting to server. Server lost, kicked me out of the game, crashed the whole game and went back to the menu. So I was just like, okay, not doing that, not playing online. So the fact that I'm playing offline, I should be able to pause. I don't like it when games are that precisely controlling of the exact experience that I'm trying to have. You know what I mean? Like, give me something here. Give me, like, the basics. So, I don't know. That's just really annoying and easy to forget. I do also wish there were more maps. Again, I'm showing my noob colors here, but, like, I understand if you want to get I think there are maps. There's a little section in the menu. Maybe there are. If you get them, give you specific areas. I feel like at least getting a map of every place you've been to, just so when you're like, I want to get to this area, you have to keep it all in your head, at least at this point in the game. That is annoying. I will often run around in circles, fighting lots and lots of little guys, trying to figure out where to go and remember where to go, because I've unlocked a million shortcuts and there are a million ways to go, and I can't always remember where to go. I feel like just a basic map of where I've been only would make sense. So that's Dark Souls. I'm still not 100% sure that this is a game for me, or that I will be able to go to completion, or if I'm just too lame or too impatient or what, but I'm interested enough to keep going. Like I said, stayed up really late last night, probably stayed up late the night before too. I want to play it, and that's always a good sign of a game, when I'm just like, I want to get back to it, I want to keep playing it. That's good, and the further I go, the more those hooks get in me, the digger they deep. The digger they deep. I just said the digger they deep. The deeper they dig, and the more into it I get. So it's very interesting. I can't suggest it for everybody. A lot of people are just like, no, it's the best. You just gotta be patient. It's the best. I can't necessarily say that, because it's very particular, takes a lot of patience and a lot of time. I'm struggling with how much time it wants me to give it, but I'm still trying. I do not want to sound like a big, huge jerk, because I love all of you and I love that you guys love to comment, but please try to refrain from leaving a comment about like what I'm doing wrong. Based on what I'm saying, how I'm enjoying it wrong, or I'm wrong about a certain thing, or like what I'm doing in the video that you see wrong, what I could be doing better. I'm learning. I've even learned past this footage. You know what I mean? I don't need a big, huge flood of tips. I got the internet for that. I got my own learning process for that. So I will at least politely ask you to refrain. If you'd like to leave a comment, I will maybe just like, what do you think about the game? What's your opinion on it? You know, do you like it? Do you not like it? I don't know. In the end, you can leave whatever comment you want. I don't know. I don't necessarily need a lot of tips. But thank you for watching. If you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go deep a little digger into this game. Goodbye.